Chapter 833, Vinsmoke Judge! I'm calling him Judgy though, fuck all y'all.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of, I guess, the Pod-D-Cast.
Yes.
I don't know how this thing's going to get released, but something along those lines anyway. And today,
The
this
first
week's
episode
chapter,
will be episode 10, probably.
Probably. Oh, kind of like how in the show of One Piece, they started with Luffy showing up at a place and then flashed back later to when he was a kid. It was all intentional.
It was.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Something like that, even though the anime's shit compared to the manga. But, okay, so this week's chapter 833, Vinsmoke Judge, something like that.
Judge.
Sanji's dad.
Yeah.
Sanji's dad. What did you think about it, Hippo Man?
I thought it was really cool. The whole learning about Sanji's backstory.
I agree.
I've been recently getting into Game of Thrones, and Judge strikes me as a Tywin Lannister. You know, he sees his kids as nothing but objects to get power, especially Sanji, because he doesn't like him.
That's an excellent comparison, actually.
And they got blonde
Sanji's like
hair
the little
too.
Tyrion Lannister
Little
down
Tyrion
there.
You say he's got the longer legs though. It's completely different from a dwarf.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an outcast.
He's the rare gigantic dwarf breed.
And his dad's using him to get power. And I don't care about your feelings, you fuck. Let's
Yep.
put some bracelets on your hands.
Man, yeah, that was brutal. I really like how the things that we're seeing now. This is great because the cast of One Piece has gotten so crowded over the years. I really like when they, maybe I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but this reminds me a lot of Robin's. Like Robin was introduced in Alabasta, then a million years later we got like her story about like what her deal was, and it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And this is basically Sanji's thing. His isn't quite so dramatic, but still pretty dramatic and definitely interesting to see. Like his important elements come back up, like the fact that they put the handcuffs around his hands. Because they heard him say how important they are to him because he's a chef and all that he cares about. In case you forgot this, viewers, the reason he fights with his legs exclusively is because cooking is so important to him, using his hands for that is so important, he is unwilling to risk them in battle and won't do it because it'd be a disgrace and it's not allowed. So he only kicks people with his shit legs that he doesn't give a fuck about. It's cool to see that be relevant to the plot again. You know, it's nice to be reminded that, like, oh yeah, Sanji has these nuances that make him an interesting character that don't get explored when they're just, like, fighting the armies of Doflamingo and it's Sanji's turn to fight somebody, or he didn't even fucking get to do anything during that fight, but you know what I mean. It's good to see his elements that make him special, be brought up, and his history further explored. It's all really good stuff.
Yeah. Although we were talking earlier about one part of the history that we were wary of is he's already, as a little kid in his royal castle, cooking food for people. And
Okay,
we were thinking we didn't
Mm-hmm.
we didn't like the idea that all of his cooking knowledge came from before he met Zeph, Blacklegs, Redlev, Zek, whatever.
Yeah. Oda needs to be extremely careful with what he does with Sanji's backstory here, because I'm afraid he'll pull a Sabo. Now, Sabo wasn't a horrible inclusion, but it was definitely clumsy, and it was obviously not intended from the start. It didn't really cheapen it.
Definitely.
He's
I don't
confirmed
think...
it was not confirmed from the start. I'm just
Okay.
telling you that.
All
but,
right.
If Oda gets sloppy with this backstory, right? Like in this chapter, we see Sanji as a kid. By the way, it's interesting to see that he was like abused by his family and was like kicked the shit out of by his 3, as it turns out, twin brothers. I guess they're quadruplets, that's notable. You'd think that would come up in a conversation while you're alive, but nope, guess not. We find out in a flashback. It's interesting that he got beat up and that he had these attitudes of hating his family and ran away. I really like that. I like this abusive backstory. It justifies him running away from a royal family. That's cool. And I really like how his attitude was not fucked up. Like he's a good guy despite all these shitty things that happen to him. He's not an edgelord. He's not a Sasuke. He's a he's a good dude.
He's a
and
gentleman.
he's wacky. Go on.
No, that's all I had to say. I was just poking my head in there, just around the corner.
But that's a tangent of what I was initially saying. I like all those things, but our great fear is that Oda will do something like, in the chapter we see, he was cooking food for, on Manga Stream it said rats. I assume that meant, well, actually, I don't know if this is correct, but I assume that meant, like, shitty people, like poor people, but maybe it really was just for rats. He was, like, making a cake, as it turned out, for rats, which is kind of strange, but whatever. He likes rats. He's a nice guy. I
don't think it was that, but yeah, okay.
I don't know. I assumed it was the dregs of society for some reason. I don't know why I did that.
Well, but, it's Judge who says it, so it's probably just...
It could be either way. I want to see some other translations.
I don't actually know who lives on Germa Kingdom, because it seems like it's all soldiers, and they're all super loyal. So
that's true.
I doubt they would have
any
actual civilians in that kingdom.
That's a fair point. Okay, so let's assume it was rats. It doesn't matter. Okay, so he obviously has an interest in cooking that when we meet his mom, who I'm excited to meet, I think she's going to be the Otohime of this arc, the fucking, who's that other guy? Rocinante of this arc. I hope it's better than Rocinante because he was boring. Okay, the whole point I'm trying to make here is that it's dangerous for Oda to make cooking like a big deal for Sanji before his... Don't forget, guys, he had a flashback when we first met him way back in Barati, when all this stuff about... The flashback with Zeph is fucking great. When it was instilled in him because they were trapped on an island together, he was given all the food by Zeph. Zeph was starving to death, and prior to this, Sanji was a cook, but he was flippant about being efficient with food. He was like, no, we gotta use the best ingredients all the time, fuck the scraps. But after this experience with Zeph, when Zeph literally ate his own leg, to avoid starving to death, because he gave all the food to Sanji, who was just a kid. What a fucking hero, and Sanji, loves him for that eternally, which is appropriate. That's Sanji's real drama of his life, and all this shit about like being an abused kid, like to me this is all secondary to that Zeph stuff. So I really do not want them to do anything that compromises the value of that first flashback by, say, having his mom be like a chef who teaches him about the importance of cooking, or any of that bullshit. Please, Oda, avoid cheapening the story with Zeph. That's
I can see it happening, which is I don't really mind too much. I know you mind
I would mind so much.
If it happened, I wouldn't mind too much. I would just feel, You know
what I would feel like though. I mean, obviously Oda didn't intend like all these things that are happening here. Maybe he had some indication of what Sanji's backstory would be when he flashed back to it. Like a decade later. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I can't imagine that, like, let's say it does trample on it a little bit, and you don't mind. If he does that, then I will feel like everything that was predicated on like my appreciation of Sanji learning such a valuable lesson from Zeph and developing this deep affection for him, I'll feel like all of that would have been kind of a lie.
You know what it could be? It could be it could be that his mother is a nice person and she feeds like poor people. So he just saw her doing that. So it's not like a cooking thing. It's just you want to make food for them.
Well, okay, one thing we know about Sanji is he was definitely into cooking to some extent, because he was like a cook on this boat. So he got into that position somehow. Wait, was he like a swabby? Did he have like a real position of any kind?
No, I think he was like a potato slicing kid in the kitchen or something.
Oh, God, I should have done the research. I should have read that chapter before this, because that's important. I'm going to go look into it. We can talk about it next time, about if Sanji really cared about cooking at all before the whole Zeph thing went down. I think he did. I think that he did. And so it'd be appropriate for cooking to, like, be a thing, when he was still... Because, like, if he did value cooking and he wanted to be a chef or whatever, somebody had to teach him that. Oh, you know what? It is true. He did think about cooking and think it was important because he told Zeph that his dream was to find all blue. because he wanted to cook all those fucking fish.
Oh,
that was a
what it
real
would've
thing,
been.
and that's why Zeph saved him, because he talked about that shit. They had the same dream. So see, it was a thing. It was in his brain. He did want to do that stuff. So somebody had to instill that in him, and I'm thinking it's his mom.
Yeah.
That's my guess. And you know what? Speaking of his family, can we talk about what disgusting, horrific, horrible people his entire family is? I want them dead. I want every single one of them dead. They're the worst. Oh, God, I hate them. Like, that cute girl, the cute sister, what a piece of shit. I want to fucking murder her ass in her sleep. I hate her so... She just laughed at Sanji when he was getting the shit kicked out of him by his brothers. What a piece of trash. I hate all these fucking people. What do you think about him?
I also hate him.
Good. I'm glad we're in agreement.
I mean, the brothers seem just like generic haha bullies.
Yeah, they
so
do.
far. Yonji got his head crunched by a thing.
That seemed like a thing, that like his head was crunched in a horrific way. We know that Sanji's able to like rearrange people's faces.
Yeah, that was this Duval
Was this
thing.
this double hammer thing? It kind of made me think that he's eaten a devil fruit, and this was like some sort of thing. Or maybe it was just their weird Gurma technology.
Yeah, I was about to say the whole thing about like Zhaj's fighting style. He's talking about like war is what advances technology and stuff, and he's using rocket boots and electric zappy things and blasters and shit.
You know what's interesting about that? It's cool to see like a technologically advanced enemy. Because so far in the series, like pretty much every enemy has been either like just super strong or like relies on some overpowered as fuck devil fruit. And I'm a big believer in technology. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I like the ideas that are going on here, but it's just because reading One Piece for like 15 years has conditioned me to feel like technology is bullshit, and that like training is way more important all the time, and doing your squats is what you really need to get swollen OP as fuck. So it's a bit of a jarring transition, but I like it and I want to see more of it. So I'm interested to see where it goes about technology.
There's one thing I just noticed looking over the pages again. Page 17, I think. The judge is flying towards Sanji. You can see on his neck he's got like stitches, just like Frankie does. So maybe he's like a cyborg. Maybe he's like in his path to become like take over the whole of North Blue again. He's not only trying to get power by marrying Sanji to Big Mom, but also he's like, taken on all this new technology from Vegapunk or something. Like he's just going all out and it's like I just want it. I just need all the power ever. And he's doing all this weird shit and he's getting all this technology. Maybe he's trying to get one of the big ass weapons. I don't know.
It's interesting because his goal seems to be to take over the North Blue again. That's fine. That's a fine evil motivation or whatever. Maybe. I mean, you could explain. You could sort of justify his feelings as like, my family has done this for generations. We were the ruling family of the North Blue. It is our birthright to like conquer these people, and it is our duty. He really
is Tywin Lannister.
He really is Tywin Lannister.
The whole we are the coolest guys. We gotta win.
Yep. And Tywin cared a little bit about his family. Well, I mean, he cared about Jaime.
Well, he cares
Cersei.
about his like proper sons so much that he wouldn't. That's why he went looking for Sanji, because he wanted to throw him away.
What the fuck was that shot? In fact, on the page that you said, like Sanji trapped in the fucking Iron Mask, like the man in the Iron Mask. What the fuck, dude? He just fed some rats or whatever. You don't fucking put a. That's horrific. That's such a horrific thing to do to someone. And Sanji's just like, you were pretty rough on me back then. What the fuck, dude? That's just... He's already in a cage. Just don't put this helmet on him. Man, I'm triggered. I'm triggered by this. It fucks me over. It fucks me up.
Maybe they put the cage on him to hide his gross, deformed face from when he got beat up. So that nobody would have to...
maybe this whole family... Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm trying to think of like a parallel, but I don't know. Like an evil organization that sort of feels like this.
And they're so evil. It's not even remotely cool. It's the worst in every way. And how about when the judge literally uses his soldiers as like human sacrifices during his fight against Sanji, just stabs right the fuck through one as part of an attack. That guy is dead. He's definitely dead. There's no coming back from that. Holy
but
shit.
The fact that he used it is like he knew that Sanji would hesitate because there's guys in front of him suddenly, and that would cause him to get an opening. It's like it's devilish.
God damn, he's
dastardly.
devilish. Yeah, he's a fucked up. And you know what? I kind of love it. Because you don't see that level of violence that often in One Piece. Of this, clearly he's dead. There's no doubt about it. It's fairly rare to see something that severe, and this was just off the cuff for this guy. He didn't give a fuck about it, it's definitely noteworthy. Definitely caught my attention, and you know what? The fact that these people are so fucked up, and that Sanji came out of them and is such a great guy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a little bit of Sirius Black from Harry Potter. You know, came from the worst piece of shit family ever, but he's a great guy. It's not his fault that everyone else is a bitch from his family. You're a good man, Sanji. That's... God, these people are the fucking worst.
Blackleg Sanji. Sirius Sanji Black. Like...
It's... I had conflicting feelings about this. I think I'm over it now. It annoys me anytime that, like, one of the monster trio just, like, meets some random dude and they lose to him for... Doesn't seem like very good reasons. Like, Sanji defeated... Well, he actually didn't defeat Virgo, but he went toe-to-toe with Doflamingo, who's this king asshole who can, like, stand up to his kicks, and it's not even a big deal. But, I thought about it, and
he is
a pretty tough guy.
A lot of weapons and armor. And...
Yeah,
I think he didn't...
it's some of this jarring with, like, the technology he's using. It's not normal in One Piece for, like, technology to be much of a factor, so it's a combination of things.
But when
but
Sanji gets
I'm down.
defeated, he just sort of like, he's sort of like, whatever. I guess fighting.
You know what I could have used?
I could have
I could have used a little bit of, like, this guy proving himself as a badass before straight up fighting Sanji. I would have liked if he just went and, like, killed an entire army by himself. I would have liked that. That would have been helpful for me to understand what his... Because, like, we saw that their brothers, Sanji's older brothers, went and, like, conquered an entire country or something. That's good. That characterizes them as badass dudes. This guy didn't get that, and I think it might have been useful just for my feeling about this. And I have nothing but contempt for that bitch sister of theirs. I want her dead. I hate her so much.
The way she puts on the bracelets when he's not even thinking about it.
Cunt.
It's like, those are going to explode, by the way.
I don't like her. I don't like her at all. And have you noticed, by the way, that I think her name, I don't know how, my Japanese isn't that good. Her name means zero in some way. I think she's their older sister. And there's the 4 boys who are whatever. And it is my hunch right now, there's a missing number there between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is missing before the 6 of the 6 Gurma that's the dad. Maybe it's the mom? Maybe the mom's going to be the 5?
Why do you think the dad is 6?
Well, he's wearing 6s, and
but then
actually maybe I forgot everyone wears 6s. That might be a terrible reason.
I don't know. To go from 6 to 65. That's a lot of numbers.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that the daughter is 0 in ways that someone better at Japanese than me can explain to me, but I read somewhere, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's 6s everywhere, makes me feel like there's going to be a 5 somewhere, and I bet it's the mom. That's my hunch. But she's dead now, I bet. And that's what made Sanji leave. I'm believing your theory now. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that's I got nothing else to say. I look forward to seeing much more about Sanji's past. I'm going to learn about how he got into cooking, where he learned about All Blue. I strongly believe it's going to be from his mom, and he's going to have a cool flashback. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be good.
Oh, you know what else I just remembered? Is that Sanji knew the story of Laya Norland.
Sure did.
And he knows about All Blue. Maybe his mum read him bedtime stories and shit.
Aw,
that's a nice thought.
I bet that's gonna come up. I bet that's gonna happen. His mom. We're gonna see the little thing of his mom or a book in the background somewhere that he hangs out with his mom. I want to see it bad. It's gonna be awesome. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next week in another exciting Pod-D-cast. All right.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.